Krishna devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. Our Guru Sri Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. So today is a nice section. We're primarily discussing about glories of Srimad Bhagavatam today. Nice chapter. So we can pay attention so that our faith in Srimad Bhagavatam will increase and so that we can continue uh, investing in Srimad Bhagavatam in our life going forward. Vidya Mataji, whenever you're ready, you can continue, Mataji. Start.
Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Cheva Narottamam Devim Sotasatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nastra Pradeshu Apareshu Nityam Bhagavati Sevaya Bhagavati Uttamasloke Bhakti Bhavati Naistiki. Today we are reading from Canto 12, Chapter 13, The Glories of Srimad Bhagavatam, Text 1. Sutta Goswami said, unto that personality whom Brahma, Varuna, Indra, Rudra, and the Maruts praise by chanting transcendental hymns and reciting the Vedas with all their corollaries, Pada, Karmas, and Upanishads, to whom the chanters of the Samaveda always sing, whom the perfected yogis see within their minds after fixing themselves in trance and absorbing themselves within him, and whose limit can never be found by any demigod or demon. Unto that supreme personality of Godhead, I offer my humble obeisances. Text 2. When the Supreme Personality of Godhead appeared as Lord Kurma, a tortoise, his back was scratched by the sharp-edged stones lying on massive, whirling Mount Mandara, and this scratching made the Lord sleepy. When you all be protected by the, may you all be protected by the winds caused by the Lord's breathing in this sleepy condition. Ever since that time, even up to the present day, the ocean tides have imitated the Lord's inhalation and exhalation by piously coming in and going out. Text 3. Now please hear a summation of the verse length of each of the Puranas. Then hear the prime subject and purpose of this Bhagavata Purana, the proper method of giving it as a gift, the glories of such gift giving, and finally, the glories of hearing and chanting this literature. Text 4 through 9. The Brahma Purana consists of 10,000 verses, the Padma Purana of 55,000, Sri Vishnu Purana of 23,000, the Shiva Purana of 24,000, the Srimad Bhagavatam of 18,000. The Narada Purana has 25,000 verses, the Markandeya Purana 9,000, the Agni Purana 15,400, the Vaishya Purana 14,500, the Brahma Varta Purana 18,000, and the Linga Purana 11,000. The Varaha Purana contains 24,000 verses, the Skanda Purana 81,100, the Vamana Purana 10,000, the Kurma Purana 17,000, the Matsya Purana 14,000, the Gurada Purana 19,000, and the Brahmanda Purana 12,000. Thus the total number of verses in all the Puranas is 400,000. 18,000 of these, once again, belong to the beautiful Bhagavatam. Text 10. It was to Lord Brahma that the Supreme Personality of Godhead first revealed the Srimad Bhagavatam in full. At the time, Brahma, frightened by material existence, was sitting on the lotus flower that had grown from the Lord's navel. Text 11 through 12. From beginning to end, the Srimad Bhagavatam is full of narrations. that encourage renunciation of material life, as well as nectarian accounts of Lord Hari's transcendental pastimes, which give ecstasy to the saintly devotees and demigods. This Bhagavatam is the essence of all Vedanta philosophy because its subject matter is the absolute truth, which, while none different from the spirit soul, is the ultimate reality, one without a second. The goal of this literature is exclusive devotional service unto the supreme law, unto the supreme truth. Text 13. If on the full moon day of the month of Bhadra, one places Srimad Bhagavatam on a golden throne and give it as a gift, he will attain the supreme transcendental destination. Text 14. As all other Puranic scriptures shine forth in the assembly of saintly devotees, only as long as that great ocean of nectar, Srimad Bhagavatam, is not heard. Text 15. Srimad Bhagavatam is declared to be the essence of all Vedanta philosophy. One who has felt satisfaction from its nectarian mellow will never be attracted to any other literature. Text 16. Just as the Ganga is the greatest of all rivers, Lord Achyuta, the supreme among deities, and Lord Shambhu Shiva, the greatest of Vaishnavas, so Srimad Bhagavatam is the greatest of all Puranas. Text 17. O Brahmanas, in the same way that the city of Kashi is unexcelled among holy places, Srimad Bhagavatam is supreme among all the Puranas. Text 18. Srimad Bhagavatam is the spotless Purana. It is the most dear to Vaishnavas because it describes the pure and supreme knowledge of the Paramahamsas. The Bhagavatam reveals the means for becoming free from all material work, together with the processes of transcendental knowledge, renunciation, and devotion. Anyone who seriously tries to understand Srimad Bhagavatam, who properly hears and chants it with devotion, becomes completely liberated. Text 19. I meditate upon that pure and spotless supreme absolute truth, who is free from suffering and death, and who is the beginning personally revealed this incomparable torchlight of knowledge to Brahma. Brahma then spoke it to sage Narada, who narrated it to the Krishna Payana Vyasa. Sri Vyasa revealed this Bhagavatam to the greatest of sages, Sukadeva Goswami, and Sukadeva mercifully spoke it to Maharaj Parikshit. Text 20. We offer obeisances to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Vasudeva, the all-pervading witness, who mercifully explained the science to Brahma when he anxiously desired salvation. Text 21. I offer my humble obeisances to Sri Sukadeva Goswami, the best of mystic sages and a personal manifestation of the absolute truth. He saved Maharaj Parikshit, who was bitten by the snake of material existence. Text 22. O Lord of Lords, O Master, please grant us pure devotional service at your lotus feet, life after life. Text 23. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the Supreme Lord Hari, the congregational chanting of whose holy names destroys all sinful reactions, and the offering of obeisances unto whom relieves all material suffering. Thus ends the Bhakti Bhavanta purport of Canto 12, Chapter 13. I forgot what it is, Prabhu, I'm sorry.
That's okay, Mother. Basically, devotee for Prabhupada translated it. Thank you.
The glories of Srimad Bhagavatam.
Oh, chapter title, yes.
Yes. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Yeah, Hare Krishna. So it's a nice chapter. It's a conclusion of the entire Srimad Bhagavatam that were reading. So basically, let's go through the previous chapter itself. Sutta Goswami was describing Srimad Bhagavatam glories already by summarizing the Srimad Bhagavatam initially, and then he started glorifying the Srimad Bhagavatam in the last chapter end. Now he's continuing while he's ending his whole narration of the Srimad Bhagavatam. So in the first verse, he describes, starts the first two verses, he offers obeisance to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Like that he says, he doesn't name the person, like Krishna, he doesn't say Vasudeva, he doesn't say like that. But he says he's the ultimate object of worship for all people following Vedic culture like that. That means irrespective of whatever path of spiritual branch they're taking, spiritual advancement they're taking, still he is the most worshipful object. To that person, I offer obeisances like that is describing here in the first verse. And the second verse also, he specifically recalls out of all the Leela Avataras, incarnations of the Lord that we heard in Bhagavatam so far, so many we heard, still he specifically singling out Kurma Avatara, specifically, interestingly. So, and he is glorifying Kurma, how he is describing how his back was scratched by the stones on the mountain Mandara that was used for channeling the milk ocean. Then that time he was feeling a little sleepy, is described. And then he's comparing the ocean's waves coming out and going inside, coming out, going inside, is because of the breathing of Kurmadev, like that is comparing here, is indicating here. And yeah, the purport, interestingly, makes a nice conclusion. He says, by meditating on the windy breath of Lord Kurma, all categories of conditioned souls can be relieved, can be liberated, and they can achieve spiritual platform, like that is describing. Basically, we can take the pastimes of Supreme Lord, including Kurmadev pastimes, into our heart, and that will act like a favorable breeze. Then we can find the spiritual peace, like that purport clarifies nicely. Now, text 3. Now, Sutta Goswami is saying what all is going to say now before he concludes Bhagavatam. The contents of the rest of the chapter, more or less, is described here. Basically saying number of verses in each of the Puranas I'll describe. That will describe in the immediate next verses. And then what is the prime subject and purpose of Bhagavata Purana I will describe. And then what is the proper method of giving Bhagavatam as a gift to somebody? What is the glories of gift giving, like that? And finally, what are the glories of hearing and chanting Srimad Bhagavatam? That's where it's going towards. Of course, he concludes with obeisances to Supreme Lord and Spiritual Master later on. That he doesn't say in the verse, but that's what is concluded in the chapter. Then Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains, this point is emphasized a couple of times by Bhujan Prabhu in his book also. He explains all the Puranas will be mentioned in the next couple of verses, just like assistants of a king are mentioned. So when somebody is glorifying emperor, they will also glorify, oh, this king came, this king came, this king came, like that. So in that connection, while glorifying Srimad Bhagavatam, is glorifying other Puranas like that, like assistants like that. We'll hear more about this also further in the next verses. So these 4 to 9 verses are essentially listing of how many verses are there in each Purana, like that. You might have noticed Brahma Purana has 10,000 verses, Padma Purana has 55,000 like that. Numbers. So three observations I'm making from this. One is that we know Srimad Bhagavatam has 18,000 verses, that is indicated here. And then the highest number of verses are in Purana called Skanda Purana, which is meant for people in the mode of ignorance primarily. That doesn't mean that it doesn't have something useful. It doesn't mean that, but that is the main focus of the audience, like that. Then Skanda Purana is 81,100 verses, it seems. Srimad Bhagavatam is 18,000, Skanda Purana is 81,000. That's like 4 times at least, approximately, or more than 4,000 times. And then Markandeya Purana is 9,000 verses, it seems. So that's another Purana. And then I noticed that Brahma Vaivarta Purana is 18,000 verses, it seems. So the same as Srimad Bhagavatam. That's just observations. But the main point coming out of this verse is, he lists all the Puranas and verses including Bhagavatam in the list. In the first itself, after Brahma Purana, Padma Purana, Vishnu Purana, Shiva Purana, he mentions Srimad Bhagavatam. Fifth, it's in line itself, out of 18 Mahapuranas. However, after describing everything, he says that, first of all, he says total number of verses in all the Puranas is 400,000. That's 4 lakh, like that, 400,000 verses. Then he says 18,000 of these, once again, belong to the beautiful Bhagavatam. So he's concluding again with the Bhagavatam and the end. So in the purport, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur comments that in the first canto, in the third chapter, when after describing all the incarnations of the Supreme Lord, Ete Chamsa Kala Punsam verse comes, right? That says, Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. Even though I described so many incarnations so far, actually Krishna is the original Supreme Person of Godhead, from whom everybody else comes, like that. So that is a concluding verse, like that. Similarly, here, after describing all the Puranas, he is emphasizing Srimad Bhagavatam one more time to confirm that Srimad Bhagavatam is the chief or the emperor of all the Puranic literatures. Like the Vishwanath Chakravarti is commenting on this verse. Of course, Vedic literature also includes not only Puranas, but Itihasas also, like Mahabharata and Ramayana. Those are also indicated in the purport here, saying that Mahabharata has over 100,000 verses, it seems. And then Ramayana has, we heard 24,000 verses at least. Of course, these Puranas and Itihasas have higher number of verses in other universes and even higher planets also. Now, so the main point to take here is how Suta Goswami is confirming that Srimad Bhagavatam is the topmost literature, like that. So text 10. Now, what is the subject of Srimad Bhagavatam and what is the goal of Srimad Bhagavatam? Is the Lord Krishna himself. He is the that is being explained in 3 verses. In the 10th verse, he says Krishna is the Srimad Bhagavatam original speaker. How is that so? We'll see here. First is Krishna revealed the Srimad Bhagavatam to Lord Brahma in his heart. That we saw in the first verse of Srimad Bhagavatam itself, 1.1.1. So that's what is described here. And then, his purport is elaborating that Srimad Bhagavatam is non-different from Krishna himself. That is one point purport is elaborating. And then also how before the creation, Lord Krishna enlightened Brahma with Srimad Bhagavatam knowledge, like that. And then, so purport is making one nice instruction for us that Lord Chaitanya, if somebody gives up all sinful activities and engage constantly in Sankirtan movement of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, victory is assured in our personal lives and in our machinery effects also, is describing like that. This is in reference to Lord Chaitanya, how he is kind to everyone and how he asked everybody to become teachers of Krishna's message, like Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, and Srimad Bhagavatam, like that. Now going to the next verse, 11 and 12. This is talking about the basically the subject and goal of Srimad Bhagavatam. Says from beginning to end, Srimad Bhagavatam is full of narrations that encourage renunciation of material life as well as Krishna Katha. So Krishna Katha is important, and how material activity is not helpful for us, and we should not engage in material activity so much, like that. Be detached from material activity, like that, and material enjoyment primarily. And then, this gives ecstasy to saintly devotees and demigods, the Srimad Bhagavatam literature. And this is the essence of all Vedanta philosophy, because the subject matter is the absolute truth, like that. So what is the goal of this literature? Is exclusive devotion service to the Supreme Lord, Supreme Truth. That is the goal of this literature, like that is stated here directly by Suta Goswami. So nobody else need to interpret. So purport defines Vairagya as renunciation, means giving up everything that has no relation with the absolute truth. That's how Vairagya is defined here. And then, of course, saintly devotees and demigods, they love Srimad Bhagavatam because it describes Krishna's pastimes. And then Srimad Bhagavatam, Vedic knowledge elaborately negates the ultimate reality of material things. That means they're just temporary, they stay for some time, like that only. It's not the permanent happiness we get, like that. So ultimate goal is absolute truth, like that. So ultimate goal of Srimad Bhagavatam is to train all of us in love of God here. That's what is being indicated here. That's why Krishna's glories are presented. And it gives us a full taste of the nectar of love in full Krishna consciousness. So now going to text 13. This talks about how this is a famous verse because most of us might be aware in Bhadra Purnima month, many of us engage in asking someone to distribute Srimad Bhagavatam as gift to someone like that, right? So this is the famous verse that is there in Srimad Bhagavatam itself. If on the full moon day of the month of Bhadra, one places Srimad Bhagavatam on a golden throne and gives it as a gift, he will attain the supreme transcendental destination. Purport is clarifying how Srimad Bhagavatam is the king of all literature, and on the full moon day of the month of Bhadra, the sun is in some constellation called Leo, it seems. Apparently, that is like as if like he's raised up on royal throne, it seems, sun position, according to astrology. So that's why similar to that, Srimad Bhagavatam also is the supreme divine scripture, like that is describing. And we can give gift, especially on the Bhadra Purnima day, to others like that is giving. Of course, any day is wonderful, but the day is specially glorified here. Now, text 14. This talks, next few verses are talking about the glories of hearing and chanting Srimad Bhagavatam. This is the final section before offering obeisances he makes. He says, all other Puranic scriptures shine forth in the assembly of saintly devotees only as long as great ocean of nectar Srimad Bhagavatam is not heard. That means, so Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur gives two analogies. One is that, he compares the, remember we already discussed in one of the verses, how other Puranas are like kings and Srimad Bhagavatam is like the emperor, like that. So kings can be glorified until emperor comes. After emperor comes, emperor is the one who is glorified, like that. So that means, and that is one analogy he gives. Another example he gives is stars. All the Puranas are like stars that may shine in the sky nicely. But when the sun comes, like Srimad Bhagavatam is like sun. When it comes, these don't have so much greatness. The effulgence is not so prominent like that. That's the point being made here. This doesn't mean that other Puranas are waste, useless. That's not the understanding we should get. Understanding we should get is Srimad Bhagavatam with the highest conclusions and highest benefit we get from reading Srimad Bhagavatam. Others also are beneficial in many ways. In fact, even we know our Vaishnava acharyas refer to commentaries. For example, the verse we heard about, I think last week I was talking about verse that talks about Puranas in goodness, passion, ignorance. We heard the reference from Padma Purana. And even in one of the purports today, there's a reference from where the number of verses in each Purana, right? The purport quotes Matsya Purana, like that. So it's not like we're minimizing, we're glorifying Srimad Bhagavatam, and it definitely has a good position and there's a meaning reason for it. That's all being described in the next few verses also. Now, text 15 says Srimad Bhagavatam reveals the essence of all Vedanta philosophy. So when somebody feels satisfaction from this literature, they will never be attracted to any other literature, like that is described. So it's beautiful. There's a lot to discuss. Essentially, whenever you want to read more about glories of Srimad Bhagavatam, how Srimad Bhagavatam is the topmost, Tattva Sandarbha book that is published by our BBT also, by Gopi Parana Das Prabhu, is a nice literature that where Jiva Goswami systematically confirms how among all the Vedas Puranas are the best, how among the Puranas, mode of goodness Puranas are the best, how among the mode of goodness Puranas, Srimad Bhagavatam is the best, topmost, like that. That's how he establishes nicely. But essentially, one of the points for that is that Srimad Bhagavatam is a natural commentary on the Vedanta Sutra. That means Vyasadeva wrote Vedanta Sutra also, which is a summary of the entire Vedic literature. And then he also wrote a commentary on Vedanta Sutra and Srimad Bhagavatam, explaining it in stories and pastimes of Supreme Lord and his devotees nicely for us. So we can easily really understand the meaning of the Vedanta Sutra, like that. That's one example, one meaning of Vedanta Sutra, natural commentary. Another meaning of natural commentary is that it doesn't go verse by verse, saying that Vedanta philosophy, verse number 1, covered in text number 1 to 20. It doesn't go like sequence like that. That's another mention of this one. And then it's also described that when Vyasadeva was composing Vedanta Sutra, he had the entire Srimad Bhagavatam in mind. Then when he with the entire Srimad Bhagavatam in mind, he summarized it into Vedanta Sutra. He didn't write the entire Srimad Bhagavatam yet, like that is described. Now, remember before this, he wrote a shorter version of Srimad Bhagavatam already. But then Vedanta Sutra, when he wrote, he had the entire Srimad Bhagavatam in mind. And then later on, after we heard in the first canto, when Narada Muni comes, then Vyasdev writes the expansive Srimad Bhagavatam further again, like that. That's how it is described. This intricate subject matter, I was listening to one course given by Kanaya Krishna Prabhu, established in Srimad Bhagavatam highest scripture. He's going in great detail in that course. But essentially, there's a key concept is that this Vyasdeva wrote Vedanta Sutra, keeping Srimad Bhagavatam in mind. And again, he expanded that to Srimad Bhagavatam, basically. That's why it's glorious. Perfect understanding of Vedanta we can get like that. And then 16, 17 verses are saying how Srimad Bhagavatam is glorious among Puranas. It says, just like Ganga is the greatest of all rivers, Lord Achyuta is the supreme among all deities, and Lord Shambhu, Shiva is the greatest of all Vaishnavas. Srimad Bhagavatam is the greatest of all Puranas, like that. Then next verse is describing again glorious of Srimad Bhagavatam, how like Kasi is exalted among holy places. Similarly, Srimad Bhagavatam is supreme among all Puranas, like that. Now, after glorifying Srimad Bhagavatam like that, before ending, he remembers Krishna. He wants to offer obeisance to Krishna, Suta Goswami, and also to the spiritual master. That's what is covered in the next few verses. Oh, yeah, one more glorification is there. He says Srimad Bhagavatam is beneficial for even Jnanis also. To get knowledge for their perspective also, they can benefit. Because just by approaching Srimad Bhagavatam, not only they get knowledge, they can also achieve liberation, like that. Is glorifying. And it's also loved by Paramsa devotees, highest stage devotees also, like that. That's what is glorified here in this purport, in the verse also. Yeah, I think that's good. And then next verse, text 19, it talks about the meditations on Supreme Absolute Truth and how Srimad Bhagavatam came in disciplic succession from one guru to another acharya, like that. He says, I meditated upon that pure and spotless Supreme Absolute Truth, who is transcendental, like that. And then he describes how Krishna gives his knowledge to Brahma, Brahma gave it to Narada, Narada gave it to Krishna's wife and Vyasa, Vyasdeva revealed Bhagavatam to the Sukadeva Goswami, Sukadeva Goswami spoke to Maharaj Parishad, like that. So, yeah, another wonderful point is there in purport. It says how Lord Krishna, this knowledge came in disciple succession. So, actually, Krishna spoke to Bhagavatam directly to Brahma in the heart, number one. Number two, when Narada Muni is speaking, Vyasadeva is speaking, Sukadeva Goswami is speaking, actually it's Krishna speaking through them, like that is described. I mean, they're perfect representatives of Supreme Lord, like that. So similarly, whenever saintly devotees vibrate Srimad Bhagavatam, it is to understood that Lord Krishna himself is speaking the absolute truth through the agency of his pure representatives. So of course, depending upon the amount of purity of the speaker, that much Krishna manifests through them, like that. So the pure devotees, fully Krishna manifests through them, speaks to them, like that. So now, the other point mentioned in the purport is, anyone who submissively hears this Srimad Bhagavatam from the bona fide devotees, they can transcend conditioned state and become qualified to meditate upon the absolute truth, to meditate upon Krishna and serve him. So we can get qualified to worship Krishna, serve Krishna, like that. That's the goal of Bhagavatam. And then text 20 says, he's offering obeisance to Lord Vasudeva, who mercifully explained this science to Brahma when he anxiously desired salvation. Interestingly, commentary describes that Lord Brahma wanted liberation, it seems. But when Krishna revealed Bhagavatam, then he desired to have Krishna Prema instead, like that. Now, the next verse, 21st verse, now he's offering obeisances to his spiritual master, Sukadeva Goswami. He calls him the best of mystic yogis, Yogindriya, Indraya, Yogi, Indraya, like that, king of the yogis, like that. Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur says, because he's the master of Bhakti Yogi, Jnana Yogi, Karma Yogi, and Ashtanga Yogi, like that. Those four. That's why he's calling him like that, king, like that. And then he's also personal manifestation of absolute truth, they say. That means Krishna manifested through him. And then he saved Maharaj Parishit from the snake bite of material existence, he's saying. So the point, a nice point made in the purports from Vishwanath Thakur commentary is that King Parikshit, how Arjuna was a pure devotee, but he was put in bewilderment so that Krishna can speak Bhagavad Gita to him. Similarly, Parikshit Maharaj was put in a position in such a way that Srimad Bhagavatam can be spoken, number one. Number two, otherwise, Parikshit Maharaj is always protected by Krishna. That's why it's called Vishnu Rata, eternally under the protection of the Lord, like that. Another point beautifully made is Sukadeva Goswami liberated the king Parikshit Maharaj from this illusion. Why? To exhibit, to demonstrate to us the merciful nature of pure devotee like Sukadeva Goswami and the enlightening effect of association of pure devotees like that. Those are the beautiful points Vishnu Chakravarti writes. Now, 22nd verse, Krishna now is placing a request after glorifying Sukadeva Goswami. He says, "O Lord of Lords, O Master, please grant us pure devotional service at His lotus feet, life after life." So, person who is narrating the entire Bhagavatam, what are they asking? They are asking for pure devotional service to Krishna, life after life. That's a nice aspiration to have. So, the last concluding verse, he says, "I offer my respectful obeisance to Supreme Lord Hari, the congregational chanting of whose holy name destroys all sinful reactions, and the offering of obeisances unto whom relieves all material suffering." Is glorifying Sankirtan Yajna is the best to take care of all sinful reactions. And offering obeisance to Krishna will relieve us from all material suffering like that. So he's encouraging us to engage in bhakti towards Krishna, specifically through Sankirtan Yajna, chanting of the holy name. This is one of the famous verses of the whole Srimad Bhagavatam. Whenever glories of holy name is mentioned, people eventually mention this verse usually. Because entire literature, the last verse of the whole literature is glorifying how chanting of the holy name is the best thing we can do. So that is the concluding verse for today. So we can pause there. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Let's offer obeisance to all the devotees of the Lord. Pancha kalpatarubdesha kupasantu bhevcha paitanam pavanebhyo vaishnebhyo namo namaha. Thank you, devotees. I'll take a couple of minutes. I wanted to mention something. First of all, I want to, this was 2.5 years exercise. So we started in December 2021. So I want to thank Vamsivadhan Prabhu because of his initiative. We started this whole discussion, and I benefited a lot from my reading of this Bhagavatam also, and I hope it benefited some of the devotees. So what I wanted to mention through this is that we want to start from Bhagavatam first canto, first chapter, ideally from tomorrow, unless somebody prefers to take a break, let me know. Then we can continue. And I was reading through it. I want to mention two things: the effect it had on me, Bhagavatam reading, and then to encourage all of you also to read. When I was reading Bhagavatam for the first time, for the first few cantos, my absorption was very little. I understood very little. But as I progressed in Bhagavatam, my understanding slowly grew little bit. And my attraction to Bhagavatam grew a little bit. A taste grew a little bit like that. So that's a genuine thing. Just by reading Bhagavatam, we can grow in bhakti so much. I wanted to mention that to you. So obviously we have a lot of way to go, but this is one wonderful thing that we have, gift we have from Srila Prabhupada with translation purpose like that. Number one. Number two, when I was looking at Vaisheshik Prabhu's app, BSH page by page, I was calculating, if you read Bhagavatam 14 pages a day, you can complete in 3 years. And 21 pages a day, you can complete in 2 years. Okay, because we took 2.5 years, because we took the weekdays only. So if you calculate like that, if you read only weekdays, we'd read about 23.5 pages or 24 pages, you can say, a day like that. But if you are inspired, if everybody's life situation is different for sure. If your life situation cooperates with you, your health cooperates with you, your family situation, your work situation cooperates with you, I would like to encourage when you start next time again, you can also try to go through the particular verses that we indicate, and read the purports also for them. So that you're also going through Bhagavatam systematically. We can also complete in another 2 years, 2.5 years like that. Again, this is a golden opportunity. And just by reading Bhagavatam, we can grow in Bhakti so much. So that's the encouragement I wanted to offer you. But of course, if your situation doesn't permit, you can still listen to the live sessions or recordings as your time permits, of course. But generally, when you postpone to recordings, what my observation is, I hardly make time to go back to recordings. I have so many courses I want to listen again, but I don't get time to listen again like that. So that's why I encourage to attend live only as much as possible. And then final thing, so what I'm encouraging is devotees who are already chanting 16 rounds and who are already following 4 regulated principles. I'm encouraging them to speak also instead of me giving the overview. We'll still do the translations like we're doing every day. One devotee can do. All are eligible to do that. And then some of the devotees I'm encouraging optional, no mandatory, no force, no pressure at all. Only is an opportunity for you to cultivate practice to read Bhagavatam purports and share some essence like that. So that's also I'm encouraging. If you're not already voted in poll, you can let me know. Otherwise, I'll also reach out to some of the devotees I know. And of course, it's not compulsory. You can always say, you don't have to commit for the whole 2.5 years. You can say, I don't want to do it now. But after 6 months, you can say, I want to join now, sharing. That's absolutely okay. It's very flexible. And I'm there to give overview every day also. I'll be reading from beginning again, all the purports one more time. So I'll be there anytime. So no pressure on any of you, anytime. Anytime you're not able to do it, or if you commit, what happens like that, don't worry. Yeah. One of us can share the overview also that day, particularly. So with that I wanted to share. That's all I wanted to share. Thank you so much, devotees. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna.
Abhijit, time from tomorrow onwards? You said it's going to start again from tomorrow. It's going to be the same